Hi, this is Mary from Teacher's Pet Dog Training. Let's talk a little bit about what we call reliable behaviors. A reliable behavior would be, if I ask my dog to sit, my dog sits. Regardless of whether he's in a room, in the kitchen, in the park, at grandmother's house, in a church, outside, wherever we're asking for it, the dog will reliably do the behavior. Another good example is a recall, the come command. If I ask my dog to come to me, my dog comes to me no matter what. Now, it is critical that when you are teaching these reliable behaviors that you practice them many times. Don't assume that you're going to throw something at your dog 2 or 3 times and now your dog has it. Dogs are what we call situational learners. If you teach your dog to sit in a room facing you, that's a particular situation. Your dog can learn to sit in front of you in the kitchen. If you take that same behavior and you put it outside and now you ask your dog to sit in the park with other dogs running around, he doesn't know that particular behavior. That's a completely different picture. Dogs do not generalize well. In fact, they're very poor generalizers. So here's an example of how to use a real life skill in training. If I would like for my dog to out an object that they have in their mouth, I don't want to wait until the moment the dog has this item in his mouth to decide, oh my gosh, I need for him to out this toy or this item or whatever it is that he has in his mouth. For example, here I have Degas who is using a little tug toy right here. And we're tugging along, and if I want him to out the item, I will say, out, yes. And then we re-engage him with the toy again. Out, yes. Out, yes. So now when I have this item or this toy or something that he has in his mouth, if I need for him to out the object, I can ask him simply for the out and then we re-engage. These are really critical pieces so that when you need to put the out in real world context, in the park, he grabs something, we don't want him to have it. The dog already has those tools and we've practiced it in many different settings. Now the dog can generalize. When he hears the word out, he releases or spits the object out. Another real life important skill that you can train your dog is to go to a spot or a place when you ask him to. And the way the dog is successful is you have very high value treats. You lure the dog to the spot. When they go to their spot, you mark with the word yes and you give them a treat. You're going to do this hundreds and hundreds of times. So it starts to make the connection. And when I go to this little spot, good things happen. Place? Yes. Now once we have our dog in their place, in their spot, and they're staying on their spot, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to reward in place. So I want to show that my dog that duration, good boy. If he stays in a spot, he's going to get rewarded for staying in that place. And now I'm going to get my dog to actually stay right here, vested right there on the spot and keep you busy on the spot. So now this allows your dog to stay in place while he's busy with something to keep him calm or like here, I took the pickle and I put a few different treats in it. So now this is teaching him some duration on staying on his spot. So now when a guest comes over, we have our tasty little treat. We ask our dog to go to their place. We lay down that tasty little treat, and now we allow our guest to come into the house. Now the dog has something to do. He's busy in the place you wanted him to be in, and he's not running over to jump all over your guests. I'd like to briefly talk to you a little bit about probably the most important command that your dog will ever learn, and that's the recall or the come command. It's really important that we first go into a distraction-free setting, set the puppy up for, or the dog up for success by making it really easy for him. You have a treat, you lure the dog to you. As the dog comes to you, mark with the word yes, you mark and reward that. Now the dog starts to come to you in little teeny distances. Practice that over and over and over again, and then over the course of time I will add more distractions to the scenario. Anytime you add a distraction, you reduce the distance. And as the dog gets better, then you can add more distance and you can add more distractions. But you never want to add both of those at the same time. And the key things when the dog is coming back, 1, make sure you always have something good for the dog when they come back. 2, you recall the dog when you feel the dog is likely to come back in the beginning phases. Don't call your dog when you don't think the dog is going to come. He's focused on a squirrel, the likelihood he's going to come back is very limited or not at all. That's not a good time to call your dog in the beginning phases. When the dog is called back, release the dog back out to go out again. If the dog figures out you're calling him and the playtime is over or going to the park is over, your dog's going to figure that out really quickly and he's not going to want to come when called. And then the last piece that's really important is if your dog comes back, regardless of how slow he comes back, always reward him and love him up for that. Never punish even what you would consider a pokey recall. If the dog comes back, make a party out of it, make a big deal out of it because the dog is coming back. So I hope these tips help for the day. Again, get at that long line, get your treats, get out there, have some fun with your dog, and start working on that recall. That's the one that can save your dog's life. Hope that helps. Until next time, Mary from Teacher's Pet Dog Training.